Hi everyone, it's me Anjali. Now I'm going to continue reading the novel The House at Riverton part 14. Okay. The ball and after. Hannah's ball went off splendidly. The musicians and champagne arrived as ordered, and Dudley pondered the estate hothouse to Richmond, the unsatisfactory floral arrangements. The fires were stoked at each end of the room, making good on the promise of winter warmth. The room itself was all brilliant and dazzle. Crystal chandeliers glistened, black and white tiles shone. Cases sparkled. Clustered in the center were 25 skulking young ladies, self-conscious in their delicate dresses and white-kid gloves. Self-important in their family's ancient and elaborate jewels, at their center was Emmeline. Though at 15 she was younger than most of the attendees. Lady Clementine had granted her special dispensations to attend, with the understanding she wasn't to monopolize the marriageable man and ruin the chance of the older girls. A battalion of full-draped chaperons lined the walls, perched on cool chairs with hot water bottles under their lap rugs. Veterans were recognizable for the reading and knitting they had sensibly grown to while away the wee hours. The men were a rather more motley collection, a home guard of dependable sorts, answering diligently the call to service. The handful who could rightly be labeled young comprised a set of rather ruddy Welsh brothers, recruited to the ranks by Lady Philip's second cousin, and a local lord's prematurely balding son. Beside this assembly of ham-fisted provincial gentry, Teddy, with his black hair, film-star's moustache, and American suit, seems immeasurably suave. As the smell of crackling fires filled the room and Irish air gave way to Phineas Ward, the old man got down to business squiring the young girls around the room. Some with grace, others with gusto, most with neither. With Lady Philip confined to her bed, fever-raging, Lady Clementine took up the mantle of chaperonage and looked on as one of the young men with spotted cheeks rushed to request Hannah's hand. Teddy, who had also been making his approach, turned his broad, white smile to Emmeline. Her face was radiant as she accepted. Ignoring Lady Clementine's reproving scowl, she curtsied, letting her eyelids flicker close momentarily before opening them widely as she rose to full height. Then she couldn't but the tuition money Mr. Frederick had been induced to pay for private curtsy lessons had been well spent, as they took the floor and noticed the way she held Teddy very close, hung on every word he spoke, laughed too broadly when he joked. The nights were on, and dance by dance the room grew hotter. The faint tang of perspiration blended with smoke from a green log, and by the time Mrs. Stonson sent me up with the cups of consummate, elegant hairstyles had begun to crumble and cheeks were uniformly flushed. By all accounts, the guests were enjoying themselves, with the notable exceptions of Fanny's husband, for When the festivity had been too much, and who had retired to bed sitting migraine. When Nancy bid me tell Dudley we need, we need more looks, it was a welcome relief to escape the ballroom's no-sitting head. Along the hall and down the stairs, small groups of girls giggled together, whispering over their cups of soup. I took the back door and was halfway along the golden walk when I noticed a lone figure standing in the dark. It was Hannah, still as a statue, gazing up towards the night sky. Her bare shoulders, pale and fine beneath the moonlight, were indistinguishable from the white slipper satin of her gown, the silk of her draping stole. Her blonde hair, almost silver in the dead instant, crowned her head, curls escaping to hug the nape of her neck. Her hands, enchanted by white kid gloves, were by her side. But surely she was cold, standing out in the middle of wintry night with only a silk stole from warmth. She needed a jacket, at the very least a cup of soup. I resolved to fetch her both, but before I could move, another figure appeared from the dark. At first, I thought it was Mr. Frederick, but when he emerged from the shadow, I saw that it was Teddy. He reached her side and said something I couldn't hear. She turned. Moonlight struck her face, caressed lips that were parted in repose. She shivered lightly, and for a moment I thought that Teddy would take off his jacket and wrap it around her shoulders the way heroes did in the romantic novels. Emily liked to read. He didn't rather say something else, something that causes her to look again towards the sky. He reached gently for her hand, hanging lightly by her side, and she stiffened slightly as his fingers gazed her on. He turned her hand so that he could gaze upon her pale forearm, then lifted it ever so slowly towards his own mouth, bending his head so that his lip met the cool band of skin between her glove and stole. She watched his dark head bow to deliver its kiss, but she didn't pull her arm away. I could see her chest rising and falling as her breath quickened. I shivered then, wondering whether his lips were warm, his mustache prickly. After a long moment, he stood and looked at her, still holding her hand. He said something to which she nodded slightly, and then he walked away. In the wee hours of the morning, the ball officially over, I prepared Hannah for bed. Emmeline was already asleep, dreaming of silk and satin and thrilling dancers. But Hannah sat silently before the vanity as I removed her clothes, button by button. As I reached the pearls at her wrist, she pulled away her hand and said, "I want to tell you something, Grace." "Yes, miss?" "I haven't told anybody else." She hesitated, glanced towards the closed door, and lowered her voice. "You have to promise not to tell. Not Nancy, not Overett, not anyone." "I can keep a secret, miss." "Of course you can. You have kept my secrets before." She took a deep breath. "Mr. Luxton has asked me to marry him." She glanced at me uncertainly. He said that he's in love with me." I was unsure how to answer. To feign surprise felt disingenuous again. I took her hand in mine. This time there was no resistance. I resumed my task. Very good, miss. Yes, she said, chewing the inside of her cheek. As to put it is. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.